$1,000 to spend on watches is not a lot of money nowadays, or so many would like you to think, because today I am going to show you how you can get a banging 3-watch collection with historic and great quality timepieces under $1,000. Don't believe me? Stick until the end and I will show you all about it. For those who do not know the channel, welcome, my name is Olivier, and on this channel I review many great value watches under $500 or even under $300, always of the greatest quality. If that is the kind of thing that you like, don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And of course I'm gonna be leaving links to all of the watches that I present to you in here, so you can go ahead and check them out. The way I'm gonna do it here, I'm gonna go through families of watches. So first of all, divers, because we all need a diver nowadays. Second, a chronograph, because it is a complication that we all love, and because it does represent a very complicated mechanical or even quartz thing, much more complicated than we believe it to be. And number 3, a GMT. I am not putting a dress watch in here because, let's face it, nowadays many of us do not have the occasion to wear dress watches anymore, so I have taken that out of the equation. I'm gonna give you, however, some 1 or 2 great dress watches you can buy if you like them. For each of the types of watches, I'm also gonna give you some other options that I thought about, which are great options, by the way, but I'm gonna tell you why I chose what I chose. Let's get right into it with the most beloved and ubiquitous watch type, which diver watches. Ever since James Bond donned the famous Rolex Submariner in Dr. No back in 1962, the modern gentleman has been crazy with diver watches. And that is why they are the most popular kind today. That is why I wanted to spend kind of the most part of my budget in here. So I'm first gonna go for a historic brand that has great credentials on the diving world, which is Seiko, and I wanted to go with one of their entry-level prospects models, that is a Seiko Turtle. And I just found a Seiko Patty diver for $360. I love the Patty. I have taken it diving many times. This little watch is, yeah, it is pretty much made for diving, big enough. I really do not have to worry about anything while wearing this watch, and those very flashy colors are really endearing actually. The lume is also excellent, as many Seiko prospect lines are, with those big plots full of loomy bright. And that Seiko Patty collaboration, before collaborations were a thing on watches, with that iridescent blue contrasting with the red accents, it's just great. Some may find it a little bit too much. There are some more restrained models, full blacks, and many others, but this pad is just, it's something special. The second watch in the selection, another one that has a lot of heritage, it is the Citizen Fujitsubo or Citizen Barnacle, and this has a great backstory. Back in 1983, this watch was found, and it had been, I believe it was 1 or 2 years lost at sea, and it was found on an Australian beach back in 1983, and it was recovered full of barnacles, and it was, the story says, still working. So that is testament to how the predecessor of the Fujitsubo was such a great and robust watch, and how Citizen made robust back in the day, and today they have continued that tradition. This watch is a revival of that one back then. 41 millimeters, just a bit over 12 millimeters in height, so great for a true dive watch. It is quite expensive though, at $530, which would not leave me a lot for the rest. But my choice goes to the Tissot Seastar. Why? Because as I have $1,000 to splurge on these, I said let's go for a Swiss-made watch. And the Seastar is just the best you can get at this point, with a water resistance of 300 meters. It is a bit large at 43 millimeters, but it will fit most wrists. I are again supposed to be large, pretty okay. It has of course a sapphire crystal, and it does have a Powermatic 80 movement with 80 hours of power reserve. All in all, and given the huge heritage, and given the fact that on Joma Shop you can find this watch for around $500, I went for this one. This is our choice. It takes out a big chunk of our cash, half of it actually, but it is okay because it is arguably in the most important important family of watches. Let's go to the chronos, some other really cool choices that you can go for here. First of all, you've got the Seiko Speedtimer, which is known as the Seiko Daytona on some words, and its reference is the SSC 813. It goes for around $450. It is a solar chronograph, which came out a few years ago, and there was a little bit of outcry because this watch was a little bit expensive. It was, I believe, like $700 when it came out. Here you can find it much cheaper at $450, and that is a much better price at the asking price at the start when this watch came out. The good thing about this watch is that, well, it looks beautiful, and it is a 39mm, so it wears great. A very good option, but then a solar chronograph for $150, yeah, you can argue that that is a bit expensive. And then you've got a channel favorite, an absolute historic landmark, the Bulova Moon watch, one of the only 2 watches to be worn on the moon with the famous Omega Moon watch. And these watches used to be much cheaper back in the day, but today I cannot find one for less than $500. Anyway, I'm talking to you about it because this is an absolutely cracker watch. I have spoken many times about it on the channel. Big history surrounding this watch. An extremely nice, high accuracy, high frequency also quartz movement in here. Just an absolute historic timepiece that you cannot go wrong for. Just 2 main things. First of all, it is a big watch, so it is a 45mm and it does wear big because of that very flat surface and those very large lugs, so be aware of that. There is a 43mm version, but I cannot find it actually at a decent price point, so I'm sticking with this one. So my choice, because I want to save up for the next family of watches, is gonna go for the Orient NEO 70s. And this watch came a few years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, but it is one that scratched that itch for that panda dial. Because it is made by Orient, one of the biggest Japanese watch companies, it is a solar quartz, just like the Speedtimer. Maybe not as well made as the Speedtimer, but it comes quite close, and for only $168. So that is great price. The downsides on this one is gonna be the size. It is 42mm, it's not huge either, but it is a little bit large, some may find it. 11.2mm in height, which might balance relatively big diameter. Just 48mm in lug-to-lug though, which is great and wearable though. It is about the same lug-to-lug as Rolex Submariner. So my choice would go to this watch for all of these reasons. You don't get a sapphire crystal here though. And my final category is the GMT. For me, the GMT watch is pretty much essential because I have family abroad, and when you think affordable GMTs nowadays, you think Seiko 5 GMT. I made a video about that watch advising you not to buy it actually, because the value was not there at the time. It was really expensive for what was on offer. The retail price was almost $500 at the time for a watch which only had mineral crystal, hardlex, which had a crappy bracelet, which at least on my unit had a lot of QC issues. Nowadays, I see that around $300. It is a much more reasonable price for this watch. If you're gonna go for this one, that is just, of course, fine. You can do whatever you want, but just check that you actually have good QC on this one, and don't hesitate to send it back if you don't. Another watch would be the Seiko Presage SSK009, which is great, and it would go to that dressy side, and it would cover also the dress watch part that we have kind of neglected here. But then again, it is $500, so I don't think we can go there in this selection. But then again, you have a watch that has become one of my favorite ones. It is the Martin SN0116, which is an amazing watch. It is by Martin, so it means that the finishing is great, and this is no copy though, which was one of the Achilles heels from Chinese watches in general. This is one of their own designs, and if you do not like these kind of flashy blue colors, they have made much more restrained colors for these this watch. You have the NH34 beating here as well, like pretty much like all of the other GMTs that we have mentioned. And this one comes at around just under $250. So if we sum up, we've got the Tissot at around $500. We've got the Orient NEO at around $168, and we've got the Saint Martin at around $250, which makes $918. So there you go, you still have $82 to spare on a nice dinner. Well, thank you very much. I hope that this selection was useful for you. If it was, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. I'm gonna leave you here with other selections of great watches at great prices. Thank you so much, and I'll be seeing you very soon. Goodbye.